Everyone here at Split Screen has spent a considerable amount of time with Mass Effect Andromeda, and while we think it's a fun game that you should certainly give a shot if you're a fan of RPGs, there are a few issues with the game that we felt severely hurt the experience. Before I get started, I want to remind you that we are in no way saying Andromeda is a bad game. To be honest, even with all of its issues, we still highly recommend it, but here are 5 things that we hate about Mass Effect Andromeda. First on our list is the lackluster story. The story of Andromeda starts out ambitious enough, but halfway through it loses much of its mystery and excitement. The story isn't nearly as engrossing as other Mass Effect games, and the characters don't feel as full and fleshed out. The main villains, the Ket, are about as generic as you can get when it comes to science fiction. The story has a few nice twists, but it fails to capture the imagination in the same way that the previous Mass Effect games did. Number 2 on our list is the romantic disappointment. One of Mass Effect's key features to many players is the ability to bump uglies with all sorts of aliens. While Andromeda does continue this tradition of letting you hit the G-spot in 0G, the balancing of the relationships is incredibly poor. The male writer has access to a total of 5 casual relationships, while the female only has access to 3 casual relationships, and the community is pretty upset with all you have to romance in the entire game. I personally am pretty upset. I wish there was more options available for everybody and more specific characters to the male and female writer. Coming in at number 3 on our list, sometimes they'll happen, sometimes they won't, but when they do, they are absolutely awful. The abysmal loading times on console really start to ruin the experience. Every time you swap between planets, areas in the cluster, or you're even returning to your ship with zero intention of leaving the planet, you're greeted with a cutscene of you boarding your ship and leaving the planet. And you can't skip this, you can't cancel it or anything and go right back to the planet. You have to watch the cutscene once again. This seems entirely unnecessary, and the amount of time swapping back and forth on the screen really starts to eat into your playtime. Once you actually do head to the planet or area you want to go to, by the time you're there, the load times have lasted nearly as long as the amount of time Ryder was in cryosleep. Up next on our list, while we're not denying that they exist, they're not as bad as people are making them out to be: the disturbing facial animations. The problem with the facial animations, in our honest opinion, has been blown out of proportion. Most of the time, they're not absolutely horrific. They're passable for the most part, but they're not the best we've ever seen, and they're certainly not the worst. The problem with these faces is that when they are bad, they are really bad. When I'm trying to focus on a cutscene or a dialogue piece, and I'm too distracted by how creepy and disjointed my character's face looks to even understand what's going on with the story, that is a huge problem, and hopefully it'll be addressed in the very near future. And last but certainly not least on our list are glitches and bugs. Games are going to have bugs, it's inevitable. While some bugs can be overlooked, game breaking and progression halting bugs should never be okay, especially in a AAA title. Andromeda has crashed on me several times while attempting to load a cutscene, getting stuck in an endless loop of loading, and thankfully I had a backup save or I would have lost 30 hours of playtime on my game. I've had enemies get stuck in the bottom of the map, forcing me to redo boss encounters, and the game has crashed on me a few more times than I really care to see from a AAA title. Hopefully BioWare is actively working on fixes for these, but a lot of the glitches that launched in this game are truly unacceptable from a big budget AAA game. I expect quality when it comes to this, and you know, sometimes BioWare really just missed the mark, and I can't say that I'm too pleased with it. But anyways, that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and as always, a like is greatly appreciated. Once again, my name is Morgan. I would like to thank you guys for watching Split Screen, and we will see you next time.